Okay, folks. Okay, people. We've got a mission here. If you didn't see last week's video, Rob accompanied me to the Madame Joanne's and he picked out what I am about to sew for myself. And it was my idea. Like I'm the one that came up with that. And he was so intoxicated by Madame Joanne that he picked 2 patterns and fabrics. You know what? If you didn't catch it, it's right here. Go on and see how flustered he gets at Joanne's. And then come back on here because we about to sew. So here's the thing, y'all. Rob is not here at the moment. Rob is fishing. Yeah, that's right. He's very outdoorsy. That means I'm going to sew non-stop for the next 48 hours. This is McCall's 8177. Yes, I have already damaged the envelope. It took me all of 12 hours. I don't even know when it happened. It was in a bag overnight. Elves came in or something. This is also called the hashtag Ashley McCall's because McCall's is getting on the hashtag wagon. Props to you, McCall's, for getting on that. And also props to you, McCall's, for all these lovely, lovely humans you are currently featuring on your envelopes. When we were at the Joanne's, it was a sea of color in front of me, and I really appreciated seeing it because you know what? Representation matters. And for a long time, not everybody's been represented in the sewing world. So I'm glad to see that changing. I hope you stick with it. Stick with it, y'all. Get on the good foot, stay on the good foot, keep on the good foot. I'm just stupid sometimes. I had some coffee on a break, so I might be a little rambunctious now. Rob prefers view A, which is a little sad for me because I like those puff sleeves on my sister girl right there, and I like the maxi length, but Rob wants me to bare my shoulders that he said he loves so much, and who am I to deny him that pleasure if he loves the shoulders that I've got. So I'm sewing up view A, and I'm sewing it up in this super floaty, a drapey rayon. You might say to yourself, Marcy, that's not really your style of Technicolor, and you would be right, it is not. But he did pick a nice color for my complexion, didn't he? He did pretty good on that. Yeah, he did pretty good on that. So this is what we're doing. I did get 3 yards of this just in case later on I can't take the knee length and I want to go full maxi and maybe add a little half circle floaty sleeve. I'll be able to do that later on. But Rob's going to see his vision come to life first, as promised. The combination of this pattern and this fabric presents the perfect opportunity to show you guys my favorite seam technique, the French seam, which sounds fancy, but for finicky fabrics, it's actually facile. That's French for easy. I love a French seam, and once you master a French seam, ooh, a world of opportunities will open up to you for sheer fabrics, for any sort of thin fabric where you want a nice clean finish on the inside, say, for this dress, where the inside is going to show when a nice little breeze catches that voluminous skirt. You don't want like an overlocked edge on the inside. Yes, an overlocked edge is nice, but sometimes you want people to ooh and ah over your insides, baby. The inside of your garments reflect the outside of your garments. You want it all to be right and tight. And that's what this French seam is going to do for us. This pattern for view A, if we take our instructions out, we can see we've got these nice long seams down the front and the back. These are called princess seams. They're also called prince seams. They could just be called vertical seams if you don't want to get into genders, right? They could be called that too. The great thing about this view that Rob chose is that it's 6 seams straight from your bust down to your knee. That's it. That's a great reason to use a French seam. The seam allowance on big 4 patterns is 5/8 of an inch, which is perfect for a French seam because we're going to sew one pass at 3/8 of an inch, trim it, and sew the next pass at 1/4 inch. And that's going to give us a clean inside. It's going to be so fresh and so clean. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. We've got 2 pieces of fabric right here. This is the right side of the fabric, and this is the wrong side of the fabric. Now, what we'd normally be doing here is pinning this fabric right sides together and then sewing. But with a French seam, you're going to pin your fabric wrong sides together. Lay your first pattern piece right side of the fabric down. Take your second pattern piece and lay that on top with the right side up. All right, this is going to be our seam. We're going to pin this together. When I'm pinning fabrics like this, or really any fabric, I like to pin at an angle. It's easier to remove the pins when I'm sewing. And on a slippery, thin fabric like this, I like to insert the pin all the way to the head of that pin. That keeps the pin from shimmying its way out of the fabric as I'm sewing. In the first pass, we're going to be stitching at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. We're not using all our seam allowance up in this first pass. This will all make sense. I promise you. Let's go ahead and stitch this first seam wrong sides together at 3/8 seam allowance. Now that we've got that all sewn up, we are going to trim this seam allowance that we just sewed down to just under 1/4 of an inch. I can eyeball this because I've done this kind of seam a lot, but the best way to do this is, I'm gonna show you right here. The cleanest way to do this is to mark 1/4 of an inch away from your line of stitching. I'm marking this in pen because we are going to be trimming all of this away. You're never going to see it. Now I'm going to trim to the inside of that mark. Because we're trimming to the inside of the mark, that means we're going to have a seam allowance that is now just under 1/4 of an inch, right? Right? All right, let's keep cutting. This extra step gives you a nice clean trim. And that's what she said. Now we're going to open our garment up, and the seam allowance at the moment is on the right side of the fabric. We're going to fix that in our second pass. Get your iron out and press that seam open using just the tip of the iron to nudge it along. That's right, just the tip. And I'm being very gentle here. I'm not pressing all the way down. I'm just sort of hovering the iron over this seam allowance just to coax it open. That's all nice and flat. Now we're going to take our fabric and fold it right sides together. You can see the seam allowance. Here's our stitching line. That's where we want to press. We want to fold the fabric together right along that stitching line and press the fabric together once again. So if we open this fabric back up so you can see, we've pressed it right along that first pass of stitching. Now we're going to pin it up again. And now we're going to sew up our second pass here at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I'm using a regular old presser foot to sew up this seam. Most presser feet will have little markings on them that show you measurements. This presser foot, right in the center to that little line you see right there, that's a 1/4 inch. If you have a 1/4 inch presser foot, you could use that, but I want to use something that everybody has in their arsenal for the purposes of this tutorial. Sometimes a thinner fabric like this can get sucked down into your throat plate when you're stitching. To avoid this, start about 1 inch in front of the start of your seam and start by sewing in reverse. This way you're avoiding backstitching right at the start of that seam. Take a few stitches in reverse and then go on ahead and sew forward as you normally would. When you get to the end to backstitch, another way to avoid your fabric getting sucked down is to shorten your stitch length. I shorten to about 0.5 millimeters and then just stitch right off the edge of your fabric. This eliminates the need to reverse in a backstitch. Both of these methods I just described at the front and back of this seam will lock your stitches in without your fabric getting sucked down into your machine. There she is. On the outside of the garment, you can see a nice clean seam line, and on the inside of the garment, you can also see, ooh, she's so pretty. There's no overlocked edge, there's no raw edge, there's no zigzagged edge, there's no turn and stitch and fold over. It's just a nice, completely enclosed seam. And because the first pass of our stitching was 3/8 seam allowance, and the second pass was a 1/4 seam allowance, you add those two together and you come up with your original 5/8 seam allowance. I'm the only one here, I don't know who I'm talking to. You can play with even teeny little baby French seams. I love a baby French seam. I hope you try it. I hope you practice it. I'm gonna pause this here, get stitching, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye. Well, the dress is done, and she makes me feel rather busty, which is novel for me. Rob just texted me. He is gonna be here in about 2 minutes, so I'm gonna run outside and we're going to film his reaction to seeing it for the first time. Hi, babe.
Hold on.
Hi, fisherman.
I think it looks great.
You like it?
I think it looks really, really great. Yes, it's fantastic.
All right, come on, let's go talk about it.
What do you think?
Well, we'll talk about it.
What?
I think I like it.
You think?
Come on. Come on. Come on.
It's nice and flowy.
Oh.
Great.
Do you like it?
Yes, I do.
Do you like the color?
I think the color's really fun. What do you think?
I didn't think I was going to like it, to be honest. And I didn't want to tell you that at the store.
I feel like I'm not getting the whole story here, folks.
No. I feel like Molly Ringwald in this. I feel like I'm in Pretty in Pink. That's a wonderful thing, right? Do you notice the buttons?
I did. They're beautiful.
Because we forgot.
Did you cover all those?
I did. We forgot that we needed to pick buttons. And I wasn't about to make you go back and pick buttons.
Thank God. And these little lapels?
You like how it's...
I think that's fun.
It's supposed to button here, but I thought it was nicer if it just
I
fell.
like it.
I thought you might like that.
I do. I like it a lot.
And you like the hemline?
I think it's great. I'm excited to see where you're going to wear it.
Ooh, I am too. Where are you taking me?
To the deck. Because we don't go out anymore.
I think this means you're going to have to do some more shopping with me at fabric stores in the future.
I don't think I did that well.
Yeah, you did. Oh, peace out, everybody.
Emphasis on peas.
He's in for it. Bye. Let's have a little confessional. The fabric out. The fabric would be the combination of the pattern and the fabric. Let's cut the fabric. I need to talk about Rob's life choices. Have you guys noticed that my hair is starting to turn kind of Like pinky orange? We'll see. Next week I could be blue. I don't know.